Welcome back to another episode. I am Sticks. This is my co-host and best friend D-Lo, and we are Too Complex. I know we've been going for a couple of weeks, but we got some good content and some good topics to talk about. But before we get into that, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you like the video and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of these bangers that we
And
got
we
coming
back.
up for y'all, man. And we
we
back, dog. And we back, dog. So what's been going on, D-Lo? I know it's been a couple of weeks. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yep.
been a couple of weeks since we recorded. We had a couple of things going on, and you know what I'm saying? We
Life,
got busy,
man. I
but
swear
life
life is
happens.
life.
Life happens, man. Life be life in like a mud, don't it?
Yep.
Life be
Yep.
life in
Sure
dog.
does.
But what's been good with you for the last couple of weeks, G?
Man, I mean, the last couple of weeks, you know the first thing I'm going to say, just spending time with the family, but really have been spending a lot of time with the family. The week before our last podcast, I said that it's probably spending too much time with them. We all were sick. I mean, I was just talking. I'm always going to try to spend as much time with my family as I can. But last weekend, we went back home to our hometown, Fayetteville, North Carolina,
Yes, sir.
and
2-6
and Stacy's sister had prom, so we
That's what's
went
up.
and helped her out, helped her and her mom with all of the stuff that was going on there, and helping her with the preparation to get ready for prom, and just doing that type of stuff. And just being around, seeing my family, seeing her families, stuff like that. So that's what I've been doing, last week, prior to that, the week before, just chilling, again, spending time with the family. I will say though, if I come up missing, it was Stacy, dog.
That would be my first thought. Like police.
Yeah.
Like, listen,
It was
my boy
it was
gone.
Stacy.
Like, look at
Yeah,
her.
dog. It was Stacy. But it would be my own doing, man. Pandemic marriage. I got married in the pandemic. Just I'm not used to putting on my ring every time I go out because during the pandemic we weren't going anywhere. We were stuck in the house. So,
And you work
I'm
from
in a
home, so it's like,
and I work from
yeah.
home. Yeah, so I don't go out that much. A good call out there. So I always forget to put my ring on. And last week we went to Fayetteville and like halfway there I look down at my hand and I'm just like, "Oh, shoot." She's like, "What? What's wrong? What's wrong?" I was like, I just put my
Damn.
hand up and I was like, "I forgot my ring." And she don't really trip about it. My wife is really cool.
Yeah.
She's real laid back. But I just feel like this one time I'm gonna do it, and she's gonna be like,
You
"Man,
mother.
yeah." She gonna bot me, man. So and it's not like I'm trying to see if I still got it or anything like that. It's just I just
Yeah.
really
You
forget to put my
genuinely be
ring on.
forgetting, yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, off me, man. How about you? What's been going on with you the last
Man,
couple of
I
weeks?
ain't gonna lie, man. I'm trying to get on your level sometime soon, man. For real, for real. I want to be
Oh,
able to say, dang, I forgot mine too. You know what I'm saying? Like we can have those conversations. But
yeah.
I mean, with me, man, it's just like same old same. Just making sure that I'm taking care of Sam, making sure that I'm spending time with her. Um, got some new things popping off, you know what I'm saying,
Okay.
as far as that is concerned. So we're gonna see how that rolls. But
Okay.
I'm not gonna talk too much right now. I'm not gonna talk too much. But I'm starting this new coding class soon, like in a couple of weeks. So that's gonna be fun. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? Go ahead and move the career to another path, another avenue. So we're gonna see how that roll out. And I'm
Okay.
excited about that too, man. Just to kind of see how that thing rolls and kind of get into that new career. And I mean, I'm excited about it, man. So I mean, same old same. Being a good dad,
Yeah.
spending time with her,
Yeah.
and now I'm moving to a new career, man. And this is not gonna change, but of course, I gotta make sure that I'm bringing money in for the fam too. So good. We're gonna be good money.
100%.
We're gonna be good money.
Yeah. And I mean, we've had this conversation. I'm interested to see, how that path goes for you. Um, I have my ideas, and I say a lot of things to you sometimes, and sometimes I feel like maybe I shouldn't say it, but
Nah, shit.
I wouldn't be your homie if I didn't express
Mm-hmm.
some concerns and just let you know what to be
Yeah,
mindful of. But
100.
I am interested and excited for you in that path that you're about to take, and
And
hope
the
everything goes
crazy thing
well.
is D-Lo. This man been knowing me for almost 3 decades, so he knows that I'm customer facing, like to be out in the public and like to be
Yeah,
helping people. But me getting into this new path and me potentially working from home, which I've done before, and I actually enjoyed it. he's like, oh, I don't know, dog. Like you used to being out there in that field, G. We gonna see what
Yeah.
happened, but I know he got confidence in his
Yeah,
homie,
yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
we gonna be straight.
Yeah, yeah,
We
yeah,
gonna be
yeah.
straight.
So what's been going on, man? What's all the events that's been going on in our absence that we can talk about?
Man, so of course, you know, the NFL draft popped off this weekend, and there was a lot of quarterbacks that went in the first 4 picks. But the biggest one I want to talk about is Cuzzo getting into
Okay.
the
Yeah.
league, bro.
Yeah,
Come
man.
on, man.
Yeah.
Talk about Cuzzo, man. Talk about Cuzzo a little bit, getting into the league, G.
Man, so I posted something on Instagram and had his little draft card. The person we're talking about is Hendon Hooker. Got to
Mm-hmm.
get him on the podcast too,
Got
but
to get him on the
it's
pod. We got a couple people we got
probably
to
gonna
get on the
take some
pod.
work. Yeah, probably gonna take some
Yeah.
work. I haven't talked to him quite some time. It's a big age difference between him and myself. But yeah, I posted on Instagram his draft card, and then in the background it was LeBron James when he won his first NBA championship, where he was like, "It's about damn time. It's about damn time." And the reason I
Mm-hmm.
posted that is because he went in the third round. He slipped all the way to the third round. And the reason he slipped to the third round is because he got an injury, or he had an injury towards the end of the year, and he set out some games. And when you have injuries in the NFL, it's
I
always
know
some
all about
reluctance.
that.
Yeah, it's always a reluctance to give you the shot that you probably truly deserve. And he's
Mm-hmm.
a little bit older than your typical quarterback that's entering the draft, or that did enter the draft this year. I believe the average age was like 21, 22
Mm-hmm.
right there. He's 24. But
Mm-hmm.
regardless of that, before his injury, he was like, I believe, the front runner for the Heisman Trophy. So
He was.
in all regards, he probably should have been, if not the first pick, um, maybe that fourth pick, second pick, whatever the case may be, because he was balling at Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
Played in a
He
little bit
was.
of unorthodox offense, not really NFL or pro type offense, but he was very productive both with his arm and with his legs. But I'm proud of him, man. I mean, he stayed the course. He had some adversity in his college career, and he stayed the course, and now he's in the NFL and will more than likely be backing up Jared Goff with the Detroit Lions. So
Mm-hmm. The Detroit Lions. Yep. Yeah, and
yeah,
I'm I've never met Hendon, but I wish him all the best for sure. So I know he gonna ball out. I know he gonna ball out.
yeah,
It's gonna be at some point. I feel like my prediction
hmm
is at some point he gonna be a starting quarterback in the league because he is that good. For what I've seen, just
yeah,
watching college football and watching him play when he was in the lineup when he wasn't hurt, he balls out. Like
hmm
kid is nice. Kid is nice.
yeah. They
So
beat Alabama. He had a big game. They were
mhm,
tearing up the SEC before he got hurt. So
they were.
yeah,
He was doing his thing. So good luck to him. All shout out to him, man. Congratulations to him for getting that big opportunity to get there. Because only 1% of them fuckers go. So
1%, 1%.
1% of us go, and he was one of that 1%, man. So I'm real proud of him too. You know what I'm saying? So he's gonna ball out this at some point. But the one thing I want to
Yeah,
talk about too is he got dropped to the third round, and he was hella productive. I don't like casting any doubt on anybody, but my
hmm
one doubt for one quarterback in that got picked up in
you
that
gonna talk
first
about
round, the
Levis?
fourth pick. Nope.
Oh,
I'm talking
Anthony
about
Richardson.
Anthony Richardson. I know he's an athletic beast. Like his athleticism is crazy, but his
hmm
career in Florida wasn't that good for him to get picked up fourth, especially like I don't understand it. Like, what do you think? I don't understand it myself. I don't see him being better than Hendon. I don't see him
Yeah.
being better than Levis. I don't see him being better than a lot of quarterbacks that were picked after him. So, like,
You don't see him
what do
being
you
better
think?
than Levis?
I thought Levis was a beast at Kentucky,
Mm, okay.
but I mean,
I'll we'll discuss that.
go
We'll
ahead, go
discuss
ahead.
that here shortly. First,
Yeah.
before we dive into him and what we think about what his career in the NFL is going to be, I do want to shout out history being made. And we don't like to be
Hmm.
racy, but you know, first time in history, 3 black quarterbacks were taken in the top 10, and we're talking about the top 5 picks in the NFL, and
Hmm.
that would be Bryce Young, CJ Stroud,
CJ
and
Stroud,
also
Anthony Richardson.
also the person that we're about to talk about, Anthony Richardson. That's history made. So I do want to clap and give it up for that, because To me, it is saying that we are seeing a change of the guard as far as what the prototypical NFL quarterback is now. You have these three
Mm-hmm.
individuals that were taken so early in the draft and then already in the NFL. You have, and we'll talk about Lamar Jackson and his contract that he just got not too on draft day. But you have a whole list of other black quarterbacks in the NFL that have gone to the Super Bowl, that have won the Super Bowl, that have been NFL MVP. So we're starting to see a little bit of change the guard, a little bit of change of mindset with the black quarterback or the black athlete being a quarterback in the NFL. Now, as far as Anthony Richardson is concerned, though, I think the reason that he was taken at the pick that he was taking is because of his athletic prowess. Um,
Mm-hmm. I can
you
agree with
know,
that.
he calls it he called himself a mixture of Cam Newton and Lamar Jackson. I think he said his nickname was Cam Jackson. And you look at
Mm-hmm.
his NFL combine numbers, and he's off the charts.
It's crazy.
And right. And then you look at some of the film, and I haven't watched any film on him. I'm just going off of what I've
Mm-hmm.
heard.
Mm-hmm.
You look at some of the film, and he does miss throws, but he has a great arm. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I think a lot of GMs feel like with his athletic ability, he can get himself out of trouble and then make
True.
plays. And as time goes on, as he learns to be a NFL quarterback, hopefully he gets that time. He doesn't have a short leash. The throwing inaccuracies will be able to be fixed. Him hopefully
Mm-hmm.
being able to read coverages and pick up the speed of the game he'll adjust. He'll just snuggle into being what is an NFL quarterback and being a professional.
That's what I was thinking too. And like I said, I don't like to cast doubt on anybody. I think he's going to have an amazing career. It's
Hmm.
just I watch college football,
Yeah.
and I watched him. I watched him play a few games that were on TV, and the man's a beast whenever it comes to his athleticism alone. But you got to
Right.
be able to do more. And that was one of the doubts that Lamar Jackson came in. We'll talk about him later. But that's he has the
Hmm.
same doubts that Lamar Jackson came in whenever he came in from Louisville. That can he be an accurate quarterback? Can he do more than just run around, extend plays, and then pass to the person that's open off the scramble drill? Like,
Yeah.
but I mean, I hope he does well. I think Hendon was better. I think Levels was better.
Yeah.
That should have been picked ahead of him. But
It's
that's
funny to
neither
me
here
that
nor
you
there. I'm
said
not a GM.
Levis was better though,
I
because
thought he was, bro.
they basically had. I won't say they had the same stats, but Levis, his completions percentage, his touchdown to interception ratio weren't that good. So if you thought that Levis was better, that means that you thought Levis should have been drafted in the first round, which I didn't think he should have been drafted in the first round, and that
I thought he was going to be drafted in the first round, honestly.
Richard. Well, yeah, he was projected to be
Mm-hmm.
drafted in the top 10. I think
Mm-hmm.
he was projected to go before Richardson, but
Mm-hmm.
he's not as athletic as Richardson. Again, his completion percentage and touchdown to interception ratio are lackluster. So
Mm-hmm.
I think people started to actually, and I said he's not as athletic as Richardson. I think people start to put them up against each other and was like, well, he's more
Yeah.
athletic. They have about maybe the same completion. I mean, Anthony Richardson's completion percentage was pretty bad. I think it was worse than
Yeah.
Levis,
I
but
think it was like 53%. I think Levis might have been like 58, 59, something like that. Yeah.
I think it was like yeah. So when you look at that, and it's just funny to hear you say that. But I mean, I get it. It's
Yeah.
again, we're thinking about the stereotypical quarterback, and it's funny that again, not to be racist, that the black guy gets the
Yeah.
nod with not so great stats, and then on the flip
You
side, we
know,
have
on the flip
what
side, yeah.
happened. Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
have Levis, yeah, facts.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I think they all, I think they're, I wish nothing but the best on all those guys, man, and then they're all getting an amazing opportunity, you know.
Yep.
So, I can relate to Hendon with the injuries because I mean, I was supposed to be drafted in the fifth round, nonetheless, but I didn't
Mhm.
because of my shoulder. because I had a shoulder
Right.
injury in college. So it is,
Yeah.
it is what it is, man. The NFL is a business before it's a profession. So what have you done for me
Right.
lately? You get hurt, okay? Well, shit, that's gonna kill your stock, and if you get hurt again, you might be up out of there. So, and that's what happened to me.
100%.
So it is what
100%.
it is. But
Yeah.
but yeah, man.
Before we go any further, oh, go ahead. My
Yeah.
fault.
No. Go ahead. Do your thing.
I was going to say, before we go any further into the small talk and before we get into the nitty gritty of the podcast, I do want to say prayers up to Jamie Foxx. He's been
Prayers
in the
up,
hospital,
dude.
the multi-talented, and his family, the multi-talented artist. He's been in the hospital for a couple weeks now. So we just want to send our prayers up to him. He's one of our kings in the Black culture. Um, make sure that we are uplifting him.
He's up for the heart attack, right? Was it a heart attack or a stroke?
Stroke.
I be hearing
It was a
I be
stroke.
hearing mixed reports, but he suffered a
Yeah.
stroke and he's been in the heart, and but they saying he's responsive and everything is he's making progress. So hoping for a full
Yeah.
recovery for sure, because like you said, that's one of the recently one of the kings of comedy, multi talented music artist, actor, like Jamie
Yeah.
Foxx would
His storytelling is crazy, man. I mean, all the
his
stories he
storytelling is
has, he's
crazy.
tell is good. Yeah. I love hearing
Nah,
him
facts.
tell different stories of the parties. The one that's funny to me, I think it was more recent, was he was telling a story about how Diddy's known for throwing these lavish parties and with this big ass budget. And he was like, "Oh, I can throw the same party in Beverly Hills with half that money, with well, not even a quarter of that money." So he was like, he invited Diddy and all the people that he invited, and he threw a party for like basically $50 or something, like $100, $500. He was $500, and he said he ordered some buckets of chicken from Kentucky Fried Chicken, had the liquor sponsored from the liquor sponsors, and invited a bunch of people, and he said the party was crazy. And when Diddy came to him after the party, he was like, "Hey, yo, how much you pay for all this?" He's like, "Oh man, I only paid $500 for it." And Diddy was like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, I told you." I mean, it's amazing, man. So I really hope he pulls through and everything continues to go well, and we can give him his flowers while he's here.
Legit. Next thing I wanted to kind of touch on a little bit was, so we got one of the original Fugees out
Oh
here
man,
being a refugee, or out here being a spy. What's going on
a
with
spy,
Prize, bro? That dude
man.
he was out here wilding, G.
Yeah, he was charged for international fraud. And for the young ones
International
that
fraud.
don't know who Praz is, as Sticks mentioned, he was a part of the Fugees. So just think the other person that was not Wyclef Jean or Lauryn Hill. To be more specific, in the song
It's the
"Foo
way
La La
that we
La,"
rock when we doing our thing.
he
Yeah.
was the
Ooh
one
la
that
la
says,
la.
"I sit." He was the one that said, "I sit 90 degrees underneath pop trees." Okay, I
Smoke
don't know what that
PPEs,
means.
but that burn my calories.
You know what I'm saying?
Nah,
But yeah, he was
yeah.
found guilty of international fraud and will serve or set to serve 20 years for conspiracy to defraud the U.S.,
Yep.
witness tampering, and acting as an unregistered agent of a foreign government. Now, we've talked about China a couple of times and how they're trying to basically dethrone the United States.
Yep.
They're involved in this. China has been at us for a while, and I
For
guess it's
a
all just
minute,
like
G.
really coming to light right now that they are really trying to get at us. And so I don't know if it's like a media ploy. And you know how I feel about the media, even though we are technically a part of it. I don't know if it's a media ploy to get us to truly hate China. So when the time comes for us to go to war, it's like, well, I mean, they did it to themselves or what? But I mean, it's just every time you turn on the media, there's something bad about our country. China's involved in it in some
China's
form or
involved in it.
fashion. Yeah,
They
yeah,
are,
yeah.
man,
But I
and
don't
it's like
know.
I don't know what's going on with it, man. But the one thing that got me was, oh boy, the dealer that he was working with, Mister Joe or whatever his name is.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but he paid Prize $20 million just to
20
help him
million.
get a picture with Barack Obama.
Yeah.
You could have paid me. Nigga, like, but I ain't
Yeah.
had that inside. But I'm like, bro, like 20 million just to get a picture with Barack. But it was
Well,
so many other implications within that picture that he wanted to get with Barack.
yeah.
So that way, because they China is trying to get at us, dog, devalue the dollar and some more
Well, it
stuff. So
won't
it's
just,
like,
it also
go ahead.
wasn't just Barack Obama. It was also Donald Trump too. And I
Oh,
think,
see, yeah.
yeah. What I think I know that move. So basically, they gave the money to Praz. Praz was supposed to donate to those particular campaigns, and then
Mm-hmm.
he'd get a picture with them, and that's when they exchange. Yeah, I've donated this amount of money. This is what I want in return. Because that's why a lot of individuals are trying to get money out of politics is because people lobby to get, or I shouldn't say people, millionaires and billionaires and companies lobby to get things that they want passed, and so that was a
Mm-hmm.
way of trying to get shit passed,
Yeah.
and get that agenda pushed for China, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, they be trying to they try to get their own, like you said, their own agendas, their own personal relationships with the president, and so
Yep,
that way they can kind of be allies, so to speak. But
yep,
the way they was doing stuff was kind of weird. So it's just like, yeah, but hopefully, he about to serve that time, and yeah, whatever. I saw this. So this came up in one of the conversations when I was in the group chat with the clan because I'm with the gaming company. This was
mhm,
like a couple of weeks ago, whenever it had just got released, and one of my boys was like, "You heard about Prize?" I was like, "Nah." I was like, "Yeah, he a spy, G." I was like, "What the? Like, ain't no way Fujila is a
yeah,
is a spy." But he was out here doing a lot for China. So I mean,
yep,
he got caught. Now he made his bed. Now he got to lay in it, bro. It's
yep,
crazy.
yep.
Joint is
Last
crazy.
up, the Snowfall series finale. Have you had a chance to catch up on Snowfall?
Man, so you told me about this on Thursday. It was no way I was
Yeah,
gonna
yeah,
watch
yeah,
six
yeah,
seasons in a weekend,
yeah,
but I I just hadn't watched it, bro. I mean, that was
yeah.
you gonna have to talk to people about this one. Now, I heard that the finale was amazing and it was
Hmm.
great, but I'm not a TV show type of guy.
Yeah,
If I'm not watching sports, then I'm not watching really anything, honestly.
right.
But unless I'm watching like YouTube or something like that, just on an off chance. But
Yep.
yeah, I'm gonna let D'Lo take this one. What's going on with Snowfall, G?
I
Kind
mean,
of give me the backstory so that way when I do watch it, I can know what to expect.
I don't want to do that. I don't want to do
Okay.
that. What I want to do though is just say it was widely discussed
Okay.
about the series finale. Some people loved how it ended. Some people hated how it ended.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of in the middle. I think the ending was appropriate, um, especially with who Franklin was dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
And it's easy to fall in love with Franklin Saint and his character,
Mm-hmm.
and what he represented. He was a smart kid in the hood of Compton, California. And he got tied up in some things that you wouldn't think a kid of his mindset would get caught up in, but he took the situation he was put into it, made the best out of it, made calculated moves, and in the end, um, he was left with what he was left with.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I know I'm talking in circles. I don't want to give it
Now you
away,
get you don't
but
want to give it away because you know I'm gonna
yeah,
watch it. But for
right.
what I
But
know, it was a lot of people that were saying like the last couple of seasons weren't that good.
yeah,
But
yeah. And then this last season was amazing.
the last season was amazing. Okay,
Yeah.
because it was 6 seasons, right?
Yep.
So I've heard. I even heard Joe Budden on his podcast. He was saying that the podcast one that weren't really. I mean, not the podcast, but the show. The last season wasn't that special. But say
The
people were
last
saying
season
season
wasn't
five.
that special.
That's what he said on Joe Budden. Joe Budden was like the last season is trash.
This like season 6.
Yeah, you ain't hear him
That's
say that
the
on the pod.
nah. So I
People had
know
a lot of
he's
mixed emotions about this last season.
I know he said the seasons 3 and 4, I think, or 5 were not good, but I
Mm-hmm.
thought I heard him say he enjoyed this last season, and
Oh, okay,
especially the way they wrapped it up.
that's what's
Um,
up.
but I mean, it's the reason people don't. the ones that don't like it is because they want to see him get away and do what most kingpins always dream of doing is getting away with all their money, moving out the country, and just chilling with their money and maybe a significant other.
Mm-hmm.
But the reality is, most of the kingpins that we know, uh, either from rappers that emulate them or take their names,
Mm-hmm.
or just hearing word of mouth from the hood, they
They
just
don't.
now getting out of jail,
Nah,
or they
facts.
didn't make it.
The
You know what I mean?
facts.
And so to me, that's why I felt like the ending was appropriate, and I didn't give the ending away, even what
Nah,
I
it's
just
good.
said.
No, yeah, facts,
Um,
facts.
so I just thought it was appropriate that the way things went down, especially with who Franklin was dealing with in the
Mm-hmm.
CIA. They're not going to let you get away with whatever they said they were going to allow you to do. They're not going to allow you to get away with that stuff.
Hell nah.
Yeah, yeah. So I
So,
just thought it was fitting. I didn't expect it to end like that, especially with Franklin being the calculated, smart kid that he is.
mhm.
But I thought it was fitting.
All right, I'm definitely gonna check it out. I'm definitely going. I might start today, actually.
Yeah,
Try to because you said it's 10 episodes a season, right?
something like that. Yeah,
Something like that. All right, bet. I'm gonna start it today and kind of see how I get into it. And I'm pretty. You said I was gonna love it, so I'm gonna take
I
my
think
boy
you
word
would.
for it to check it out.
I think you
I'm gonna
would.
take your word for it to check it out. But that's enough for the small talk. What we got as far as the actual meat and potatoes of this joint today, bro? What's the topics for the day, G?
Absolutely, man. We're going to talk about something that is might not need to be talked about, honestly, after I did a little bit of research, but is Nikola Jokic the best center of all time? We're also going to talk about the NBA playoffs, sticking with basketball. Then we'll talk about Angel Reese discussing not wanting to leave for the NBA because of all the NIL deals that she has. And
Mm-hmm.
finally, as I mentioned earlier, we'll talk about Lamar Jackson finally signing or coming to an agreement with the Baltimore Ravens and becoming the most highest paid player in the NFL.
Yes, sir. Let's go ahead and get into it, my G.
Yeah, right into it, my boy. So DeMarcus Cousins is not interested in claiming Nikola Jokic winning his third MVP in a row. This would be because it would mean he would be considered one of the greatest centers of all times. In turn, it has sparked a debate that may not have been previously a debate before. So, Six, how you feeling about Jokic already being entered into the GOAT center conversation at this stage in his career?
Now, there's one thing I want to say about Nikola Jokic. He's not a freak of nature. He's
Hmm.
he isn't he isn't a muscular type of dude, and most people would probably say that he looks out of shape on the court because he kind of do. Honestly,
Hmm.
his game is kind of unorthodox a little bit if you think
Yep.
about it. But he plays at his own pace. He dictates the flow of the offense. He makes the other team that he's playing against kind of go to his flow of how he's going to play the game and how he's going to run the Denver offense. Right
Right.
now, his averages are amazing. 25 points a game, 11 rebounds a game, 10. He averaged a triple double this year while shooting 64% from the field, 38% from the three, 80% for 80+% from the free throw line. Like his splits are great. But I'm with DeMarcus Cousins on this because it's like there's so many great centers out there that I would take above Jokic. And the only reason why this is becoming a conversation anyways, because he would be one of four players in NBA history to win 3 MVPs in a row. You got to
Hmm.
think about Larry Legend and Wilt the Stilt and guys like
Larry
that.
Bird.
Larry Bird. And the reason why he said that like that is because a lot of our friends, a lot of my in each of our circles, don't think Larry Legend is a legend. So it's kind of
Larry was
crazy when
that.
people say that.
Yeah.
But he was that dude when he was playing. And also Bill Russell also won 3 back-to-back MVPs as
Hmm.
well. So there's 2 centers in that conversation as 3-peat MVPs that I believe is better than Nikola Jokic with Bill Russell and Wilt the Stilt. Wilt the Stilt
Hmm.
being probably one of the greatest athletes of all time. You know what I'm saying?
100%. I agree with
So,
that.
and then I would also take Shaq. I would also take Moses Malone. It's so many different, so
Moses?
many. I would take Moses. I would take
Okay.
Kareem. I would take Hakeem the Dream. I would take the
Yep.
Admiral. I would take so many different. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
I would take so many different centers. And in my research, I was looking up a bunch of different things, like as far as where ESPN, Bleacher Report, a couple of different avenues where they would rank these centers.
Mhm.
And the one that I saw that was most recent was one from sports. It's a website called Sportster that
Mhm.
had the top 10 centers of all time. And they had Jokic at number 10. So there's a lot of people in a lot of podcasts, a lot of sportscasters, a lot of websites that don't even have him in the top 5, let alone the top 3. But they had Artis Gilmore, Patrick Ewing, Moses Malone, Hakeem, Bill Russell, Shaq, Kareem, Will, like all of these people that they think is better than them. That I agree with that. Like all of
Mhm.
those players I just named are definitely better than Nikola Jokic. But it's just, but you can also go back in generations and, you know, what years they played in. Some people think the 60s was Wilt playing against plumbers and electricians. Like, it's a lot of different conversations that you can have, but he not better than Wilt, bro. What you think? What you think, D-Lo?
I mean, it's an interesting conversation. However, I don't think it should have been a conversation at all. It should not be a debate. I agree with you on a handful of the individuals that you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely uh, Wilt, Kareem. First off, I should say Kareem first. So
Yeah,
Kareem, Wilt, Shaq, The Dream, Hakeem Olajuwon. I think those individuals are head and shoulders above him. And the reason I say that is because when you talk about player greatness, it's a delicate balance between individual accolades and statistics and team accolades and statistics. While he does have 2 MVPs as of right now, he's in the ballpark when it comes to points, boards, assists, and all that stuff, and block. Well, not really blocks,
not
but
really blocks because
assists.
he's not that
He
big on
he's
defense. Yeah.
Yeah, he's up there. He's above everybody in assists, but boards and points, he's in the ballpark with everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
He has that. They haven't been to a. They haven't even been to the finals yet.
Nope.
He does not have a ring. So to me, with the delicate balance that you have to have in being considered one of the greatest of the game, one of the giants in this conversation of the game, I don't think it should be a conversation. Um, but we're still relatively early in his career,
Mm-hmm.
if he is to have a long career. I think, we always bring LeBron in the conversation. I think the reason that you can have those conversations about LeBron being one of the greatest of all time, he's in year 20 of his career. He has
Mm-hmm.
multiple championships. He has multiple MVPs. He's a Finals MVP multiple times. He's Rookie of the Year. I think the only thing he's missing is Defensive Player of the Year, which he probably
Mm-hmm.
should have won. That's another
Mm-hmm.
thing.
In Miami.
Jokic doesn't have Rookie of the Year when the majority of the individuals that I mentioned, the Shaqs, the Wilts, the Kareems, they won Rookie of the Year. And then in the case of Kareem, I'm sorry, Hakeem, he won Defensive Player of the Year. Jokic has not won Defensive Player of the Year. So it's a lot of things that accumulate together to make one be considered the greatest. And again, while it's great conversation, I believe, I don't think this should have been a conversation, but I understand why it was sparked. Like you mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
he would be one of 3 or 4 individuals that have won back-to-back MVPs. And just that alone makes people wonder, are you the greatest of all time? And in this case, are you the greatest center of all time? I'm gonna say no.
I'm gonna say no too. And it's like we're sparking this conversation about Jokic being the greatest center of all time. And like you said, we always find a way to get LeBron into the conversation, into the
Mm,
podcast, because that's our boy. You know what I'm saying?
right,
As you can see, that's our boy. But
right.
but you, if that's the case, if we're sparking this conversation for Jokic being the greatest center of all time, why is there so much pushback on LeBron being the all-time GOAT? Because he's done so much more in such a long career, longer than Jordan's.
Mhm.
He hit more points, more playoff points, more assists, rebounds, all of that as far as statistically, individually, and team-wise. He might not have as many rings, but he's been to 10 finals in a row and looking to go to another one this year. So it's like, if we can say this about Jokic, we got to be able to say this about LeBron. And there's no way that go ahead.
I was going to say, I think the conversation is a bit different though, because in this sense of Jokic, we're talking about best center of all time,
Best
whereas with
individual, yeah.
LeBron, we're
Individual
talking
position.
about best player
of
all
all time.
time. And, it's a lot of nostalgia when it comes to Michael Jordan.
It is 100%. And I can understand it.
While LeBron has had a great career, and usually in most cases, I would say LeBron is probably the GOAT. Again, we've had this conversation before. My dad would kill me if I said LeBron James was better. I mean, literally kill me if
I
I
know,
said
Pops. He
LeBron James
definitely would.
was better than Michael Jordan. And
Yeah.
we grew up watching the tail end of Michael Jordan's career, and the things going, he was ahead of his time when it came to
Indeed.
being an NBA player, being a great of the game. So, and he changed the game. And LeBron's changed the game too. He does have all those accolades, but the thing that stains LeBron's career, and I don't know why we go to team accolades when we're talking about staining LeBron's,
Individuals. Mm-hmm.
but he's what 4-6
4 and
in
6.
finals, whereas Jordan is 6-0. Jordan has won championships, three-peats twice. LeBron has not done that. He's only won a back-to-back once. So, and everybody's going to say he skips from team to team to team.
Yeah.
I mean, we're in a whole new era of basketball. If Michael Jordan could have skipped from team to team to team, he definitely would have. This era that we're in, as far as players having control of what they want to do, is relatively new. And as of like what 2010s, I think LeBron was the one that set that up. But I mean, it was a part of the collective bargaining agreement.
For sure.
But that's all it is. And I didn't mean to cut you off and get long winded with my answer, but that's the missing piece there, or that's the reason we can talk about Jokic being a great and try to negate LeBron, is because we're talking about Jokic as being the greatest center of all time now that he's potentially going to get his third MVP in a row. And we're talking about LeBron being the greatest of all time. And, people just don't want to let go that Michael Jordan still hadn't played in 20 years, and his shoe's still number one shoe in the world. And,
Man.
he won 6 rings with no losses, and he's up to top 5 in all-time scoring. People don't want to let that go. I mean, Michael Jordan really he was an amazing player. He is the standard, I guess. Everybody talk about Mamba mentality. Well, Mamba mentality came from Jordan mentality.
Came from Air Jordan, exactly.
So he's the standard when it comes to
The GOAT
what we look for
conversation.
in an athlete nowadays.
For sure. And to get back to Jokic, what I think the argument for him as far as Jokic is, of course, this sparked off of the possible three-peat as far as MVP, but he does have some really good 3-level dominance on offense. We already talked about he's not that effective on defense, which that's kind of subjective because it's a team sport. You know what I'm saying? Right. He does play a lot of help defense. He's pretty good on help defense, but he can score in the post with the best of them. He can shoot the midi as well as anybody, and he can also shoot the three at a good clip. He rebounds with the best.
Like a point guard.
He can pass I was about to get to that too. He rebounds with the best centers in the league, and he's averaging a triple double because he orchestrates his offense and he passes, like DeLon said, like a point guard. But again, he's not. A lot of people will say that he's not the GOAT because he's just not physically dominant. He's not fast. He's not agile. He don't have the body type. He's not built like the Admiral. He's not quick like Embiid. You know what I'm saying? He's not. You know what I'm saying? But it's like one of those things where he controls the game so well that the other team has to adjust to him. And that's which within that is a form of dominance within itself. But when you look at the other players that were ahead of him, we already listed a few of them. Like Hakeem was as agile and his handles was crazy, and his dream shake is something that is so mind blowing to a lot of younger people that look at basketball. Was like, dang, he out there as a center, a 7-foot center, shimmying and up and unders, and you know what I'm saying, like going crazy in the post. But he was also great on defense. He led the league in blocks multiple years in the NBA.
Right.
So, and Wilt the Stilt just dominated everybody when he played. And then Shaq is arguably the most dominant player in NBA history. So how can you put Jokic ahead of those people? But it's like, I can't do it myself. I don't think he's the greatest of all time. I don't think he will ever be the greatest of all time. But he's only in his 8th season. Hopefully he can play 10, 12 more years like LeBron has done. But I guess we just gonna have to see. But I mean, I don't think he's the GOAT center of all time at all.
Yeah, I don't think he's the GOAT center of all time, but also he's playing in an era where it's no longer centered around, no pun intended, the center, right?
Mm-hmm.
The basketball that we're talking about with the greats that we know as a center, the ball was dumped into them. They went to work. If they got double teamed, they kick it back out for a mid-range shot, not a three-point shot. Now the game has evolved more outside in, where the first shot is outside, and then you dump it down if that shot is wide open. And so Jokic, like you said, he's a good 3-level player, but he is boring because he's kind of like, even though he can shoot, he's not that athletic, where the NBA is really athletic nowadays. A lot of the players, I'd say 87%, that's an odd number, but 87% play above the rim. He's not one of those people.
Right.
But, I mean, you can put him in the same conversation, but I think you could put him in the same conversation as Luka Doncic, although I think Luka Doncic is way more exciting
Way more
than
exciting.
Nikola Jokic, but Luka Doncic is also basically a point forward, and even though he's really a point guard, that's his true position, but he has the height and the build of a forward, but he handles the ball as a point guard. But long story short, no, I don't think Nikola Jokic is a center. You know, not to say that he can't become one of the great all-time centers, but you know, based off of the information that we have available to us right now, as far as his individual stats and as far as his team accolades, again, they haven't even been to the finals yet. They may go this year, but he hasn't won a ring. I can't say that he is. I can't say he's even in. I can't say he's even in the top 5, and therefore this conversation should have never been a conversation, in my opinion.
Yeah, it shouldn't have. I mean, but when you're talking about somebody possibly win their 3rd straight MVP, which, like I said, only 3 other people have done it. LeBron hadn't done it. Jordan hadn't done it. You know what I'm saying? Hakeem didn't do it. So when you talk about when you got somebody that's possibly about to win their 3rd straight, those conversations are gonna arise. But nah, he ain't the GOAT.
Yeah,
he ain't the GOAT, bro.
All right, sticking with basketball, this year's playoffs have been surprising to say the least. 8th seed in the East beat the number 1 seed in 5 games. 7th seed in the West, it's a parade in my city, yeah, beat a number 2 seed in 6 games. And overall, the first round has presented seemingly more parity than in the years prior. So, Sticks, what are your thoughts on this year's playoffs up until this point? And can you say who you think is going to go to the finals?
So I've watched a lot of NBA playoffs this year, and you know I've watched more NBA playoffs this year than I've watched in previous years. I always watch the playoffs regardless, because that's the most exciting time in a lot of different sports. As far as NFL, NBA, college basketball, it's always more exciting to watch this time of the year than it is to watch the full 82 game season.
I agree.
But it's been exciting as it has been, and there have been some upsets. There have been some trash talk that wasn't backed up. There's been some domination by teams that we expected, and some that we didn't expect. But he already alluded to it. A number 8 seed beating a number 1 seed in 5 games. Jimmy Butler went crazy against the Bucks, averaging 35 points a game. Like that right there is the most. But you're going to have that argument amongst people that's going to say, I mean, well, the Bucks were decimated by injuries, and Middleton only played 1 game, and Giannis only played a couple of games in the series, and this, that, and the third. I'm like, bruh.
People always use those excuses when
bruh.
when it's with teams that it's quote unquote underdog, even though Milwaukee had the best record in the NBA, right? They had the best record in the NBA, right?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, the Bucks did. Yep.
Yeah. Even though they had the best record in the NBA, nobody really expects them to win the championship with the team that they have, because the year that they
Mm-hmm.
won the championship, the whole NBA was decimated with injuries.
The whole
So,
NBA was
yeah, so I mean,
all of the playoffs didn't have at least one or two of their star players
yeah,
every round they played. So
yeah. So people always use those excuses when it comes to the underdog not,
mm-hmm.
and I say underdog loosely, but the underdog not winning. But when the big dog gets hit with injuries, oh, them boys trash, man. I knew they couldn't do it. And who I'm talking about. I won't say no names, but
Exactly.
still, yeah.
But it's like Jimmy Butler literally willed that team to that first
Yep.
round win, bro. Like that first round series win, because like I said, he was averaging almost 36. He had two back-to-back games with 56 and 42, and he just went crazy against the Bucks. And if
Mhm.
that's the case, then if we talking about the boys trash the third, today
They
they
won.
just beat the Knicks, and Jimmy Butler had 25.
Yeah.
So Jimmy's going crazy, and there's always that conversation around playoff Jimmy and playoff Butler, and then he's like, but that's not even a thing, because I play like this all the time, which it don't seem like it in the 82 game
Right.
season. But when they get to the playoffs, Jimmy becomes Himmy, dog, like
Mhm.
Himmy Butler, because he is him right now, like best player in the
Mhm.
playoffs by far the best player in the playoffs,
I wouldn't say
regardless.
by far, but because I mean,
Who playing better than Jimmy Butler right now in the playoffs?
the point guard for I'm not gonna say he's playing better, but comparable is not Brogdon, Brunson. Sorry,
Nah,
Brunson with the
Jalen
Knicks.
Brunson is playing well. He is playing
He's
well.
been
Yeah,
balling, man, and also
yeah.
De'Aaron Fox has been playing
Darren
pretty
Fox
good.
been going off.
Yeah. But I mean,
But
the
if
reason that Jimmy stands out is the 56 points and the way that he dominated the Bucks, in the series that they had. So I can say Jimmy is probably the best player in the playoffs right now, but I wouldn't go so far as to say hands down the best player in
I
the
don't
playoffs.
know, man, he might be hands down the best player right now, because you can look at, I don't know, man. You got a point. You got a point. But I mean, because De'Aaron Fox is playing well, but
Yep.
yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
I got you. I hear you. But but we already talked about too. He already hinted, there's a parade around my city, but
No, it ain't.
y'all talked all this trash, and the biggest trash talking team in the NBA this year was the Memphis Grizzlies, and they came out and got smacked.
Mhm.
So like, how you feel about the Lakers, bro, putting that dominance on the Grizzlies uh after your boy John Morant talking about he ain't worried about nobody in the West, and it's a parade around
Mhm.
his city. You got
Mhm.
the bum. I don't even like saying his name for real, but he talking about he poked bears, and
Mhm.
I don't respect him until he give me 40. And then you
Right.
got other players that I ain't worried about it. We're gonna be back here in 7, and then you come out and get blown out by 40. What you feel about the Lakers in that series, my G?
I mean, so you can easily say that injuries also derailed the Memphis Grizzlies, and also off court distractions
Distractions. Mm-hmm.
headed by John Morant and all the issues he had. Um, but yeah, by far the Memphis Grizzlies were the most trash talking team in the NBA, and I mean, it was an anonymous player said the Memphis Grizzlies are by far the most annoying team when they're winning. They talking the most junk. When they losing, they ain't saying nothing. And it was evidenced by exactly the person that you're talking about. So after game 2, Dylan Brooks says LeBron's old, which LeBron is old. I mean,
Yeah, though.
as far as NBA terms is concerned, LeBron is old.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and he pokes bears, and they won that game. The games they lost, Dylan Brooks, I'm out. I ain't talking to nobody. The media made me a villain. Nah, bro, you was the one talking junk. And it's crazy people claiming to poke bears, but forget that you shouldn't mess with the biggest grizzly of them all, which is LeBron James. I mean, LeBron didn't have a great series, but he rallied his team. The team rallied around him to protect him. And I think that's the thing that's going to help the Lakers in the playoffs is the team is playing for him. It seems like to
Mm-hmm.
me, like
Mm-hmm.
you could tell LeBron is not. To me, I watched LeBron playoffs for I don't know how long. You can tell he's not the same. He doesn't have the same step. Every once in a while, he'll give you that spurt, but it's
Mm-hmm.
not this continuous step. So when Dylan Brooks said what he said, yeah, okay, you're right. He's not. He is old. He's not the person that he was in Miami and Cleveland. But don't poke that man because he gonna do exactly what he did. He gonna take it in. He ain't gonna say much to you on the court, but he
Mm-hmm.
gonna give you those little subliminals here and there, and then he might even make it public like he did before Game 4. Was that Game 4? Yeah, Game 4 or
Mm-hmm.
Game 3. It was Game 3 where he's like, "You're not doing nothing," and then I don't know what else he said, but he said, "Make some shots, do your job," like he a
Facts.
little kid. Like I'm just like, bro, you can't talk to that man like that. But anyway, yeah, I think it's they got what they deserve, man. You
They did.
humble yourself. You're still a relatively young team that hasn't done, while you had some success in the regular season and last year's playoffs knocking out Golden State,
Mm-hmm.
you haven't done anything, man. Now, I will say this. When they are healthy and if they can keep that nucleus together, they're gonna be hell.
They're gonna be scary.
They're gonna be hell in the NBA. Because John Morant with a hurt hand was balling.
Giving buckets.
Not game 6, but he was balling when he came back. So I think long story short, get back to LA. I think they did what they were supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
And the team that they have now post trade, not to say anything negative about Russell Westbrook, it's just a better fit for LeBron and
Mm-hmm.
AD because you can potentially space the court out more and allow them to go to work. And when they're on, and you get 40-point blowouts like you had Game 6.
That's a fact, and it's you already alluded to it a little bit, saying that because it's scary to say that LeBron wasn't even the most dominant player on his team night in and night out. Because you
Hmm.
some nights you'll have AD give you 35 and 17. Next night you'll give you'll see Hachimura go off. You see Austin Reeves go off. You see D Russ go off. Like that the way they put this team together after the trade deadline is scary for a lot of the playoff teams, man. And it's going to be interesting to see, depending on who wins the Sacramento Golden State game. I'm pretty sure it's over now. Depending on who wins that game, what is that series in the
Mm.
semis is going to be interesting, bro. Because Golden State and LeBron already have such a
Golden State
history.
won.
Golden State won. All right, bet. So now it's going to be Golden State and the Lakers and the Golden State Warriors and the Los Angeles Lakers in the semifinals. So is Golden State and LeBron himself have so much history.
Hmm.
So it's going to be interesting to see how he attacks this and how the Lakers attack this too, because that's going to be a fun series to watch. The Lakers
Yeah,
with LeBron and the Golden State Warriors with that team that they still have together. I allow they don't have KD no more. They had him in the last couple of years, but and they won the championship last year. So
right.
this gonna be a fun. That's gonna be a fun series to watch. I can't
It's
wait for that.
it's funny because you talk about KD and we haven't even mentioned the Phoenix Suns. Um,
Exactly.
so there any team that had it's almost like LeBron and Steph. Well, it's not almost. It is exactly like LeBron and Steph. Any
Mm-hmm.
team that has them, and Steph's been with Golden State his whole career, but any team that has those individuals, LeBron, Steph, KD, you can't truly count them out. And
Facts.
even though Phoenix lost to the number 1 seed Denver Nuggets in the West, you
Mm-hmm.
can't count out that the Phoenix Suns won't respond because D Book is a great player too.
He's been
Uh,
balling too, yo.
you know
He's
what I
been
mean?
balling.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, I this playoff to me has been one of the most exciting to watch just because of the parity, the 8 beating the 1,
Mm-hmm.
and then 7 beating the 2, and then the potential of the series that are to come. It's just been great. In New York is in a state of nostalgia. It's been a while since they've
Mm-hmm.
been in the
I was about
playoffs.
to say that too. Yep.
They are in the second round. They beat a team that was supposed to do well this year, which they did do well in the regular season, but they didn't
It
show
didn't
up in the
pan out in the
playoffs.
playoffs, right?
Sometimes the lights are just too bright for individuals. I mean, but that's another thing that's been great about these playoffs too. Uh, Now that we know that Golden State has beaten the Sacramento Kings is you're starting to see those young stars kind of flash here and there. Will
Mm-hmm.
really start to flash, but you still have the old regime still intact, saying, "Hold on, you got to wait a little bit. I like what you're
Facts,
doing,
facts,
but
facts.
but but go on to the crib right quick. 1, 2, 3 Cancun. Let us handle this." You know what I
Big
mean?
facts. So, and it's funny. It's funny you alluded to that. It was two more things I wanted to talk about. We back at episode 2, we did a segment about the trades that came about before the season started, and what I'm saying, I had high hopes for the Cavs, but D'Lo was like, nah, they ain't gonna be that good. And they went through the season and had a really good season, made it to the playoffs,
Right,
and this is one of the first times without LeBron that Cleveland has actually made it to the playoffs. And that had a
right,
lot to do with that acquisition of Donovan Mitchell, because he had a really good season. He was having a pretty good playoffs, but they just didn't have enough to take out the Knicks, because the Knicks have been playing well actually for a couple of years now, but they finally got it all together and are sparking a playoff run this year. But the
right.
Cavs were to me it wasn't a surprise, but I'm pretty sure to D'Lo it was, because he was like, nah, they ain't
Yeah.
gonna be that good. Again,
I
episode
mean,
2,
I
he's like,
thought they would
nah,
have
the
made the
Cavs ain't gonna be that
playoffs. Yeah.
good. Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
thought they would have made the playoffs, but not as a 3 seed, right? They were 3,
True. They were 3.
4.
They were 3 seed. Yep. 3 seed.
Yeah, I didn't think they I honestly thought Atlanta would have been like the 3 seed, and then the Cavs would have made the
No,
playoffs,
actually,
but they
the
would have
Knicks
been
were the
like
5
6,
seed, and the Knicks were the 5 seed, and the Cavaliers were the 4 seed.
4 seed. Okay, so yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought the Atlanta Hawks would have been in the place of the Cavs, and the Cavs would have been in the place of Atlanta Hawks, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean, both of them at home now, so it don't really matter.
That's a fact. And then the next thing I wanted to talk about too, last thing, was I know we talked about the Suns and that team that they have with D Book, Chris Paul, KD. But do you think that series would have panned out differently if they fully had Kawhi and PG on the court? Because
Absolutely.
them dudes, man, I don't know what it is about Kawhi and PG, but they stay hurt, bruh. And especially Kawhi, because he can be talked about in that conversation as one of the greatest, but he
Mhm.
just and I guess it's two sides of the coin, because it's kind of complex. Because if I cared a little bit more about my health, to be honest, and wanted to
Mhm.
like take some time off and actually like think about the future a little bit more, because I played with a bad shoulder for 7 games that I shouldn't have played with in the college. And that's another reason
Mhm.
why I probably ain't still in the NFL now. Hindsight 2020. But if I would have redshirted that year and came back the next year fully healthy and balled out like I did my senior year, I probably would still be in the NFL at this point. But this man, Kawhi Leonard, takes his health to a whole nother level. G, like I feel like sometimes he cares more about that than his actual profession, his job. But your health in the NBA is your job. It goes hand in hand. So you said you think it would have been a different series if the Clippers had PG and Kawhi?
Well, just based off of the small sample size that we had from Kawhi and
Mm-hmm.
Russ, we'll just
Right.
leave it at that for right now.
D
I just
Russ
hit
too.
my
I was gonna talk
desk
about
and
him too. Yep.
yeah,
Y'all
not D
good.
Russ. You talking about
Not D
Russell
Russ, but
Westbrook.
Russell Westbrook. I'm
Yeah,
tripping. Yeah,
yeah.
you're right.
Yeah, the small sample size that we had from them playing together, not even including PG, we saw that they gave the Phoenix Suns a run for their money. And
Indeed.
then as soon as Kawhi left, was no longer able to play, that's when Phoenix took off. So I 100% think that if PG was healthy, if Kawhi was healthy, with the way that Kawhi was playing in the playoffs, the series would have been different. Now, Phoenix probably still would have won, in my opinion,
I think so too.
um, but it probably would have went 7 games.
I
And
think so too.
well, if PG, well, let me take that back. If PG was playing, I think the Clippers would have won, honestly. Now, if Kawhi
Okay.
was just playing how the roster was coming into the playoffs with just Westbrook, Kawhi, and the rest of the Clippers team, I think it would have went 7 games. Now,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think that series would have been different.
Because that series was hella close. Like, it was only one game where the Suns really won by more than like 10 points.
Right.
And Kawhi Leonard only played 2 games. And I don't think PG played at all, if I'm not
No,
mistaken.
PG did not play at all. They
He
were
didn't play at
hoping
all.
that they could get past the Suns, and then he would come back in the second round, hopefully, but that was no guarantee
Mm-hmm.
either. So I mean, it's just the PG and Kawhi, that experiment that has gone on in LA with the Clippers. I'm not going to say they should blow it up, but you know, both of those players are in their 30s.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, it's cause for concern. There's a lot of people that say they should try to get the Clippers should try to get whatever they can for Kawhi now, while he still has some type of great value.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, it's sports. Injuries happen. It, un, it happens to at the most unexpected times, and usually when you get injured in the NBA, you have some individuals that they always get injured. AD is one, and that's why I want, knock on wood, I want to say that the Lakers can make it to the finals with the roster how it is now. But and even LeBron, they're one injury away from either AD or LeBron to where it doesn't work, and then they
And
look
he
like how they looked before the the trade deadline. And yep, I know what you're about to say. AD's battling with some injuries right now. He's just trying to
not
tough it
even
out.
that, bro. It's like every time he fall down, like he's so
Yeah.
fragile, like he's so brittle. Every time he fall, he like having his back or
Right.
I can't
Yeah.
feel my
He's trying to
arm, and
tough it
it's
out.
like he is though. He's doing his thing,
He's trying to tough it out.
and before we go to the next topic, I want to shout out. I want to shout out Russell Westbrook because
Mhm.
he was not a good fit for the Lakers.
And
Everybody
we knew
said that,
this
we
coming
said that,
into
and
it.
we knew that coming
Yeah.
into it. He wasn't a good fit for the Lakers. But shout out to him for taking a lot more stock in that 6-man role. And he's
Mhm.
actually been balling ever since he went to the Clippers. He's been balling, dog. And like, shout out to
Right.
him for taking all of the heat and all of the flack that he's taken for the past year and a half where he was with the Lakers and toughing that shit out and using it as fuel with the Clippers because he has been balling, dog. Like
Right.
hitting threes, getting to the cup, like just taking that 6-man role serious. And low key, proud of Bud. I'm proud of Buddy. Like he doing his thing.
Yeah.
But who before we go to the next topic? What's your prediction? Who win in the finals?
Who win in the finals or who going to the finals? Who is going to the
Who's winning
finals?
the NBA champ? Well, okay, two part. Who's going to the finals and who's winning the championship?
Um So I think who is going to the finals is whoever wins between the Philly and Boston series, whoever from the
Okay.
East.
Mm-hmm.
The West is it's a toss up to me. I can't really get a pulse on it. I'm just gonna say the Nuggets are going, but in the back of my mind, I hope the Lakers are going. So I possibly
Mm-hmm.
could insert them there. If it's, I just want it to be an entertaining finals. So
Mm-hmm.
if it is Boston and the Nuggets, I'm going to
It's gonna
say
be
the
boring.
Nuggets. If it's Boston and I'm sorry, if it's Philly and the Nuggets,
Say Philly.
I'm gonna say Philly.
Mm-hmm.
If the Lakers are in there, I'm gonna say the Lakers gonna win, and that
Yeah.
would be a crazy story.
It would be for LeBron to break the all-time scoring record and win the finals at the same time, and possibly
At the
finals
7
MVP
seed,
as the 7th seed. That would be a
yeah,
story in itself. But my prediction would be it's the same as D'Lo's. In the East, is whoever wins the Boston Philly, whoever wins the Boston Philly series, which I think is that's actually that's a wash because Boston and Philly they both got really really good teams. But I want to say it's going to
and
be
Embiid's
Boston,
hurt right now though.
and Embiid is hurt, true. So I want to say it's going to be Boston. And I just can't bet against LeBron personally.
Mm,
So I
mhm.
think the Lakers going to the finals, and then I just want to, like you said, I just want to see an exciting finals, man. I think if Denver goes to the NBA finals, the pace that the Denver plays at, bro, is so lethargic, bro. I just can't watch them play 7, like however many series, how many games that series goes to. Like I don't want Denver to make the finals. I not to wish bad luck against them, of course. Like I said at the beginning of the episode, but it's gonna be so boring to watch. I think the best series, the most exciting series would be if Boston goes against Phoenix. But I want
You
LeBron to
think
get his
so?
fifth. Yeah, because
I
Phoenix
think,
is so high powered and they move at such a fast pace, and so does Boston. Like that pace is gonna be
yeah,
crazy. I think the
I
pace will be
think
crazy.
I think it would be an exciting series for many reasons if Boston and LA make it. One, we're talking about history, championships on the line, prestigious.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the
Yep.
most prestigious franchise? You got LeBron back in the finals. Um, Jason Tatum, who's a budding superstar, if not a
Mm-hmm.
superstar, and Jalen Brown in the
Mm-hmm.
finals for the first time. Like you said, you have the high power offense
This would
of
be the second time
the
they went last
Boston's.
year.
You're right.
Mm-hmm.
No, they didn't.
They played
They did.
against.
You're right. You're right. You're
Yeah, they
right. You're
played.
right. You're
They
right. You're
lost
right. You're
to
right.
the Warriors. Yeah, yeah,
You're
yeah.
right. You're right. Yeah. And so you have them back in the finals trying to, get there, secure their first championship. You
Mm-hmm.
have LeBron back, those individuals back, Boston with their high power offense. But, as we've seen, if the Lakers are clicking, they're high powered as well.
100%.
But they have the ability to play they have the ability to play defense. They don't always play defense how they did Friday night. But if they play like they played Friday night, it's nobody that can beat them. It's
Nobody.
just, will they play like that?
True. True. If you get LeBron giving you 20 and 20 games, you got a chance, bro.
Yeah.
You got a
Yeah.
chance.
All right. So we've talked about the WNBA multiple times,
Mm-hmm.
but the WNBA may have more problems than they realize after recent national champion Angel Reese made a comment on a podcast, a recent episode of the I Am Athlete podcast. Was it? No,
The
actually,
pivot.
it was
The
the
pivot.
Pivot. I'm sorry. It was a
Mm-hmm.
Pivot, where she says, I'm in no rush to go to the league. The money I'm making is more than some of the people in the league that might be top players. This speaking of all her NIL deals. So,
Mm-hmm.
Sticks, what are your thoughts about the statement she made? And then what does this mean for the WNBA?
So, just thinking about this, and I watched the full almost hour episode of the pivot when her and Flage was on there,
That's
and
how you say her name, Flage?
that's how they kept saying it on the pivot. So
Okay.
that's why her and Flage was on there, and just like D'Lo said, man, the WNBA probably has a lot more problems on their hands than they think they do, especially with these draftees and these girls that are in college that are making millions and millions of dollars off of their name, image, and likeness. And if the top players are not even making no, top players are not even don't even have $1 million contracts in the WNBA. But
They have to have $1 million contracts. They
well,
probably don't make $1
true.
million
That's
each year.
correct. That's correct. That's
Yeah.
correct. So if you got Angel Reese saying that she's making per year more than top players, she's not even in the league yet. My thought process automatically went to, well, why if they can continue with these NIL deals even after they're out of college, why would they even go to the league? To be honest with you, why would they even go if they're making millions of dollars per year? Where them playing the sport that they love, they're not even gonna make that. Why would they go? That's what my mind immediately went to. But they have these women, the men are gonna make the money. The NBA is gonna pay these guys. Like you got, a lot of these kids that are not even in college yet getting crazy money. But the NBA is going to pay the guys, but the women already have that. They already have that budget that budget that they don't have. They're already not making any money per year that they can't even pay the players as much as they want to. That's why a lot of these women are going from the WNBA are going overseas to play to supplement their bread. So if they making $1, $2, $3 million a year off NIL, there is honestly, I can't see a reason why they would even go to WNBA unless they can still keep those contracts, which I believe that they can once they go to the league. But if they're not even in a rush, then they WNBA got a problem, G. They really got a problem.
Yep. But here's the reality.
Mm-hmm.
Even if she wanted to go to the WNBA right now, she couldn't go. So the statement she made is, and this is not a knock on Angel Reese at all, because if she wanted to go and she was allowed to go, she would be drafted.
100%.
But the statement she made is like, it's
It's
just
null
a
and
statement
void.
she made.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a statement she made. And the reason that is because unlike the NBA, who has an age limit of 19, the WNBA has an age limit of eligibility of 22.
22.
Angel Reese right now is 20. So even if she wanted to go right now, she could not go. Now, It is a bigger problem for the WNBA though.
It
And
is.
we've talked about the NIL deals that college athletes and amateur athletes are able to get right now, and how it has been and it will be impactful for them. I don't think we ever thought about how it would impact or affect professional leagues.
Mm-hmm.
And now we see that if the WNBA was just like the NBA and had a 19-year age limit, a lot of those girls would just stay in college.
100%.
And so it's sending a bad message not only to your current players of the WNBA, but it's also sending a bad message to amateur players currently in college and in high school that, well, the my final destination needs to be college. I just need to get to college and you know, be good enough to where I can get the types of deals that the Caitlin Clarks, the Angel Reeses are getting, the Flage is Flage, right?
Flage.
Flage
Mm-hmm.
are getting, and I can make more than professional players. I don't have to. I get my room and board. I'm hoping they still doing the room and board and all that stuff free.
Mm-hmm.
Room and board's free. I don't. We need to get somebody on here to talk about the NIL and what the tax implications are for these kids too.
100%.
Um, but I'm just going to assume I don't have to. I'm assuming they're gonna have to pay tax on it. So
Yeah.
I'm paying taxes on it, but I'm still making out better than the WNBA player. Like you said, why do I need to go to the league? And that could be, well, right now I don't think it is a tremendous issue for the WNBA.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I don't think it's a tremendous issue is because we have not seen a player up until this point. We're still relatively early in the NIL deal process for athletes. Up until this point, we have not seen a player, guy or girl, say, well, I've made enough money with my NIL deals, I'm not going to go professional. We haven't seen it
Right.
yet, but
Right.
we know all it takes is one person, and more than likely, I'm just going to say it would be a female athlete
Mm-hmm.
to say I'm not going to go professional, and then everybody else are, you're going to have your handful of individuals that are going to say the same
It's
thing,
going to be a snowball effect.
and
Yep.
right, and so if that is happening, if that happens to the WNBA where they're already struggling to draw eyes, and now they'll have to struggle to get players to come
Athletes.
to the league.
Mm-hmm.
That could be a telltale sign of where the league is going. And we said in the podcast where we talked about the WNBA getting more revenue share, that it
Mm-hmm.
seems like their trajectory is going up. And if you actually go to the game, it is entertaining.
It is
The
very entertaining.
the girls do have the ability to play at a high level. They do have the ability to entertain you. It's just not the NBA. Um, but as we mentioned 2 podcasts ago, or last podcast episode, the college girls are playing just as good. And so now you put that NIL deal, and they're saying, "Oh, well, I can make more money in college." You have one or two. Let's use Caitlin as
Mm-hmm.
a example. Even though I don't ever expect her to say she's not going to the pros. Let's just say Caitlin Clark says, I don't want to go to the pros. I made enough money with Nike, with Hy-Vee, who are her
Mm-hmm.
NIL deals that she has right now. I'm happy. I got me a college degree. I have a little lump sum of money that I can sit on for a while until I find something new I can invest, do whatever the case, whatever it is. Let me chill.
Yeah.
What that means that the WNBA missed out on a generational talent.
Mm-hmm.
That means that the WNBA missed out on fans coming to watch her play.
Mm-hmm.
That means that the NCAA benefited because the WNBA can't pay their players the way that the players are getting paid in college.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever thought that we would have a conversation saying that professional athletes, while it's not the male, the men athlete, still the same thing. Whoever thought we would have a conversation saying that professional athletes aren't getting paid more than college athletes.
We would never have that conversation. This just sparked recently because NIL really just came into effect, what, like 2-3 years ago? For real, for real?
Two 2018 is when it really kicked
Okay.
off, but it it didn't really
It didn't really
have
boom
much.
like it's been booming
Yeah,
the past couple of years.
yeah,
And like
it
you
boomed
said,
after post-pandemic or
it
right in the pandemic.
right in the pandemic. And it's crazy because it's not gonna be it's gonna have to be a female athlete that makes that decision. And it's gonna snowball crazy because the NBA, the NFL, all of these other leagues, the men leagues can pay their the players more than they making in college. They can do that. They can
Yep.
pay, they can outweigh the NILs tremendously. But the
Mhm.
crazy thing is that I believe, and I might be wrong about this, but I'm about 90% sure that in your example, say Caitlin Clark did decide, okay, I got my NILs with Nike and we say HIV, no, not HIV, but
Wow. Hy-Vee, which is a supermarket chain, wow.
but
Positive.
Hy-Vee, positive, but in Nike and Hy-Vee, what I think that I think it's something in their contracts, and like I said, I could be wrong because I know what the contract is, but I'm about 90% sure that as long
Mhm.
as they're active and posting on social media or something of that nature or making content, being a content creator, is something in their contract that as long as they still making content, they can keep their NILs
Um,
moving forward
well, I mean, I'm su
because it's a couple of players that I not that I follow, but I noticed like just scrolling through Instagram and it would be something that might pop up on my screen that might say, this young lady isn't playing in the college no more, but she still has these sponsorships and these NIL deals that as long as they're posting content, they can keep these deals moving forward into the future.
I mean, I'm sure that could be the case, especially if you have a athlete that has a high follow count and
High profile,
engagement.
yep.
Yeah, high profile and where people continue to follow them.
hmm
Even if so, trying to think of an athlete that's like that no longer plays but still has a pretty high. I don't really know of one, honestly.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure if there you have one of those individuals, they could potentially keep their NIL deals or their endorsement deals
hmm
as what they would become or as what they are once they leave college. But I'm 100% sure that they get on a true contract after that. Whereas,
100%. Yeah, yeah,
okay,
yeah, yeah.
if you're doing this, you're not playing, but if you have this amount of spike in our revenue and all this and that, we have. I'm sure they probably have some type of promotional code that they have
hmm
to track all of their engagement, where this traffic is coming from for these brands. But if you're bringing if you're bringing these individuals in, fine, you can keep your contract. But as soon as you don't, as soon as your numbers slip, now we taking all of that because I mean, we talk about corporations as well. It's about
hmm
how you can help them, not how they can help you. I mean, they
Exactly.
help you to some regard, but it's really about how you can help them.
And then it's gonna be on to the next big star that's in college now. You ain't playing no more. They stay
Right.
out in the public eye playing for LSU or playing for Iowa or playing for South Carolina.
Insert college here.
Insert college here. And then you can
Yeah.
say, you're not playing no more, you're not in the public eye. This young lady is, we're gonna take your contract, give it to her. And that's where it's gonna stem a little bit of a conversation like, okay, is me playing more important than keeping this NIL? And if they're still playing in the WNBA, they can still probably keep those NILs because they're still in the public eye. They still got that following. They still playing the sport that they're quote unquote paid by these by these sponsorships to play.
Right.
So, but the comment of I'm in no rush is crazy. That
Yep.
is it's a crazy statement to make because you making this much and you getting paid more than these WNBA players are getting paid in their contracts. Like, how much leeway do you have with these NILs to not go play the sport that you love so much, and you're not in a rush
Right.
to go play the sport that you love so much? So that was my eye opening and mind blowing to me. It was like, yo, you ain't in no rush. You must be getting a bag, shorty. Like, what you
Right.
on?
Right. And to be clear, we're only speculating because
Yeah, facts.
we're not speculating on the comment. Angel Reese actually said the comment.
Yeah.
We're speculating on if they would actually not go and play in the WNBA after their eligibility runs out playing in college. But and the reason we're speculating is because we only have a small sample size of how much money individuals are making from the NIL deal. But, based off of what we're seeing right now, we can only speculate of where it can be down the line if they continue to get this money and if the WNBA is not able to fix the issue that they have with paying the players.
And
We
bringing
can
in that
say what
revenue. Yeah.
Yeah, we can say what they deserve, but, until they're able to get the eyes on the game and bring in the ads and put the butts in the seats like a NBA or like a NFL, even half of that or
Yeah.
3/4 of that,
Yeah.
until they are able to do that and then pay those players, they're gonna have this issue. And I shouldn't say they're going to because it hasn't been an issue yet. We can see this being an issue for the WNBA.
But on the flip side of that too, though, in that same podcast, in that same interview, Angel Reese said something about the eyes are actually getting on the women's game a little bit more. That championship had 9.8 million viewers.
Mhm.
9.8 million people watched that national championship game.
Right.
And then Channing Crowder asked the question, well, why couldn't Lisa Leslie do that? Why couldn't Candace Parker do that whenever she was in her prime, when they were first getting the WNBA started? Why couldn't they do that? It was like because of social media. Social media made a lot of these things possible because they're out in the public eye a little bit more and people are actually following them and they can see what they're doing on a day-by-day basis. So they're interested in the players a little bit more than they were back whenever the WNBA started. What was that? 1998? I think was the inaugural season. I think they've been in for like 25 years now.
Something like
98,
that, yeah.
97, something like that. So back then, social media wasn't even in existence. Facebook didn't come out until I was in college. So we was in college. So, and that was like the start of a lot of the social media platforms now. But now in 2023, you got multiple social media platforms that they're going on. So she was like, the reason why that happened now is because of social media. So I think the tide is turning a little bit, not crazy, but the tide is turning a little bit as far as the women's game is concerned, especially the WNBA. But the WNBA is still going to have an issue if these contracts can't be supplemented enough to outweigh these NILs, because that's a crazy statement to make. I ain't in a rush to play the game that I love to play, that I just won a national championship in. That's a crazy statement to make.
Right. Yeah. I also think that it's crazy to think that, and again, this is me speculating. I
Speculation.
don't know why the WNBA has this rule in the way it does, but it's crazy to think that the WNBA doesn't have that much confidence in their ability to pay the players that they still have an age limit of where they're basically telling the players, make sure you go to school, make sure you graduate, and then you could come to the WNBA. Why wouldn't you mirror the age limit like the NBA, so you can get those best players that you can that are
Yeah,
available? It's just, it's some things that need to be changed about the WNBA,
there is.
and not to pick at them because they, like we said previous episodes about the WNBA, it does seem like the trajectory is starting to go up. More people are attending the games. They are getting more excitement. They still have a long way to go, but it's starting to go up. But now you bring in this element to it, and it kind of like goes back down a little bit.
Yeah.
It's like an obstacle, another obstacle that they have to overcome in order to get to where they want to be.
Yeah, and it's crazy. Like you said, there's a couple of things that need to be changed. That age rule definitely needs to be changed, because if they
Well, they don't
if
need
they
to
can,
change it now.
no, they don't need to change it. They were true, but at the same time, if they could get some of these girls at age 19, age 20, number one, their careers would be longer. Number one,
Right.
they already had that rule in there about maternity.
Hypothetically.
True, hypothetically true. They already got that rule in there about maternity. So if they were to get pregnant, they got a rule in there about that. So if they get them younger and they don't get become mothers until later on in their career, then you have more players that are playing for longer. Like to me, that them having the 22-year-old rule is kind of crazy. Because what if somebody goes into college at 17, graduates at 21? Now they got to wait a year to go keep playing the game that they love. It's kind of
Okay.
it's kind of weird to me. You know
So
what I'm
it's
saying?
the rule is you have to be 22 or have graduated
Graduated from college.
within 3 months of the draft or something like that.
Got you. Okay. Well, I didn't know the rule, so that's my bad,
Yeah.
viewers.
Yeah.
But it's just they have a lot of things they needed to fix, especially with the budget that they have and the revenue that they bringing in. They got to go hard, and the NBA is already supplementing their debt as it is, and the NBA can do that because that's the most watched sport in the world, most likely, other than, well, baseball is kind of going down, but it's they gonna have an issue. They're gonna have an
Right.
issue if they can't outpay these NILs. They're gonna have a problem.
Yeah, I feel like to finish it up, it just sends a bad message.
Mm-hmm.
So the WNBA needs to figure something out. They need to address it and they need to fix it. And the main thing that they need to fix is the actual amount that they pay on average to
Mm-hmm.
their players. Because if you have, again, if you have girls that are saying, "I'm in no rush,"
Generational talent at that.
yeah, that
Yeah.
that that means that your league is in no rush, and when you're not in a rush, you're stagnant, and when you're stagnant, you're basically dying.
100%. That was a bar, nigga. What the fuck?
You feel me?
Yeah,
You
feel
know?
me. Yeah, but
Yeah.
putting bars out there, boy.
All
For
right,
sure.
man. So after some back and forth drama and fuel added to the fire by the media, Lamar Jackson finally gets the well-deserved deal with the Baltimore Ravens, making him the highest paid player in the NFL. Sticks, how you feel about this whole situation and the reported deal
Mm-hmm.
for Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens?
Now, Lamar, he shocked the world back in March, you know what I'm saying, whenever he said, "Hey, if you ain't gonna give me my bread, I want to be traded." You know what I'm saying? But
Mhm.
of course, the Ravens organization, John Harbaugh, they were like, they remain confident, of course, that Lamar Jackson was gonna come back. And mainly because what Lamar Jackson wanted was a match of um
Watson.
Deshaun Watson's contract, where he got a fully guaranteed 230 million.
Mhm.
Crazy numbers, first of all.
Especially with what he was
Crazy
dealing
work.
with.
Exactly, especially with what he was dealing with the whole situation, right? So, but they kind of held strong. The Ravens organization did that. That's kind of like an outlier. Like, ain't nobody else touching that contract. Like, the Browns were wild for doing it, number one, but ain't nobody else gonna match that contract. Period. Fully guaranteed.
Right.
That was the first time that's ever happened in NFL history. So the fact that you want that is, number one, kind of crazy, but we want to keep you here, so we're gonna do what we need to do. What he got was a good contract, being, you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying, having 185 million guaranteed, 52 million a year. That's still amazing money. He's still the highest paid NFL player in the league.
Mhm.
So he didn't necessarily settle, and especially with him representing himself, that's crazy in its own right. But I feel like
Commendable.
commendable as hell. I couldn't have did it. I'd have been like, "Oh, you're trying to give me 150 guaranteed? Give me that. I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll take it. I'll come back
Yeah.
and play." You know what I'm saying? But he just, it's he bet on himself and low key won. He bet on himself
Mhm.
and won. He did kind of what Dak Prescott did, but Dak Prescott ain't. Dak Prescott won, but he ain't been showing what he bet on himself about here recently. But Lamar Jackson is getting paid. And hopefully, with him betting on himself these next coming years within this contract, he's going to show what he bet on himself for. Because this past year, I think he was just kind of going through the motions. He was hurt for the last half of the year, or didn't really want to come back and play because he was still contemplating what he was going to do as far as the offseason, because he was going to be a free agent, possibly franchise tag, which he was, and he was just holding out.
Mhm.
So I think he did a damn good job representing himself, and I think he did a damn good job getting the money that he did.
Him
But
and his mom.
him and his mom, correct. But what you think? How you think he did in this negotiation process?
So first off, I'm glad he got the deal that he wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and before I dive into him and what I think about it, I want to touch on something that you mentioned in your portion.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy that the NFL is the only league where the contracts aren't guaranteed. Baseball,
Facts.
they're guaranteed, basketball are guaranteed, and it's probably
Facts.
the most physical sport.
The
I
most.
understand that the physicality of it is probably the reason why owners don't want to give guaranteed contracts. But you have to put more stock into guaranteed contracts of at least 80%.
True.
Like we're starting to see now, because these guys are putting their health, their life on the line, and for themselves, but more so for you, because you really benefit from it more so than they do. And you can't even guarantee them their money as well as insurance once they're out the league.
Facts.
So with that being said, I'm glad that he got the contract that he wanted. I'm glad that he has 183 million of it out of the 260 guaranteed. I'm super excited about that. But the reason I'm excited about it is because of everything that he'd endured up until this point.
100%.
At the combine, he had to answer all the questions about, is he going to switch positions, from reporters and from teams? No, sir. I'm a quarterback. After he had a decent rookie year and then MVP season, people still didn't think he was an NFL caliber quarterback. I was one of those individuals. I'm gonna be honest with you. I would say I was more so one of those individuals prior to him actually playing in NFL, because I did watch him play in college, and he was not that accurate. He was what we are talking about with Anthony Richardson.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And so I think I was one of those individuals.
I was too, no lie.
He has a 73 he has a 73% win percentage. That doesn't make sense the way it says, but that's how you say it. With little help at the skill position in Baltimore, and has also won league MVP. He is now the highest paid, after enduring, the things that we talked about earlier. He is now the highest paid quarterback in the league, or highest paid player in the league. I commend him for that. I'm really, really, really glad that he got this deal, because what it says is, and I'm glad that he got it by himself, with him and his mom, without having an agent. And I'll talk about that aspect of it here shortly. But I'm glad that he got it by himself, because what it says is, know what you want, work to get it, and when the time comes for you to get it, you'll get it.
Facts.
And you don't need any help if you're betting on yourself, and if you truly believe what you want is what you deserve.
I agree with that. I agree with that whole statement you just made, man, because he defied the odds when it came to him actually coming into the NFL. Because like D'Lo said, I was one of those guys who was like, yeah, he probably gonna be a receiver going into the league, or he might be a running back going into the league, but he's not gonna be a quarterback. And that's kind of the same thing I was talking about Anthony Richardson, but that's just another conversation. But betting on yourself is hard to do. And he was able to leverage that a little bit, because he has had such a good career up until this point. Especially, like you said, winning the MVP. If I'm not mistaken, I'm not 100% sure about it, but I think he won Rookie of the Year.
I can't remember.
I can't remember myself. I can check it. But he has had a relatively good career up until this point. So he had the leverage to bet on himself. He had the leverage to hold out. He had the leverage to say, I don't want the money that you're offering me right now. I want more. I want close to what Deshaun got. He had that leverage to do that. And
finished second.
Okay. Who won it that year?
Actually, continue.
Okay, no doubt. But no doubt. But he didn't necessarily, yes and no. He got what he wanted, but not really, because he wanted Deshaun Watson money. But I think a week and a half ago, Jalen Hurts signed his contract, and he didn't get the same money that Deshaun did. So I think that was kind of like a wake up call a little bit to say, okay, I might be tripping a little bit. So let's go back to the table. Let's see what you can actually offer me. And if it's close to what I want, I'll take it, type of thing. So that's why it came up some. So that way he kind of realized, okay, yeah, Deshaun Watson is an outlier as far as that contract. The Browns might have been bugging out, but if Jalen can get 190 guaranteed, I know I can get close to that at least. You know what I'm saying? And even that 190 guaranteed is a crazy amount of money, but it's nothing compared. I can't say it's nothing compared, because I ain't never seen $190 million in my life, but 230 guaranteed, like, the Browns were like, I'm throwing the whole bag at this dude. The whole bag. You can have whatever you want. You can have, like T.I. said, you can have whatever you like. Cause we're gonna give you this we gonna give you this money. But it's still a crazy contract. Like I said, it made him the highest paid player in the NFL. So he didn't necessarily get what he wanted, but he came to a come to Jesus with himself, like, okay, I'm not gonna get that. So let me see what they're gonna offer. But Russell Wilson didn't get that money. Kyler Murray didn't get that money. Shoot, even our boy, my homeboy, didn't get that bread, even though at the time his contract was crazy. But it's one of those things that you got to look at it and say, you bet on yourself and you won, dog. So go out there and ball out and get that money that you actually do deserve. Because I feel like he deserves what he got. And now I think the Ravens think he deserved what he got too. So it was really good for him. It was really good for him for sure.
Yeah, I can't find. He did not win Rookie of the Year, and I was getting to who won the Rookie of the Year that year, but it was 2018. I don't know who it was yet. But anyway, yeah. So I think the thing for me is he was initially everybody thought he was right to hold out for the money that he wanted to get. But then when the negotiations fell through and he, was saying, all right, well then just trade me. I want to be traded. Everybody started to criticize him for not having an agent. But he held
Fact.
strong. He held strong and continued to, represent himself, continue to negotiate, him and his mom. And now he finally broke through and got the contract that he wanted. And it's not to throw any shade at any agents out there or whatever, and also not to throw any shade at the media, although it is a little bit of shade to them. It does seem like they were, with reading the various articles and listening to the various outlets talk about this situation and why he needs an agent. It just seems like they were trying to help him get to the bag sooner.
True.
But like I said earlier, if you bet on yourself, you know what you want, and you have put out a good product, you don't need anybody to help you get in the ballpark of what you want. Yeah, agent may help you squeeze out more juice from that orange to get more money. But I mean, if you're in the relative ballpark, I don't need you to ask for more money because all that means is I'm putting more money in your pocket as well. So, I feel like the media and those that criticize him when he was in the nitty gritty of getting the contract done, they were telling him he needed an agent when negotiations fell through. But I never hear anybody tell a player that they need to fire an agent when
Never.
negotiations fall through.
Never.
So, and we're supposedly live in a country where you're supposed to pull yourself up by the bootstraps. That's what he was trying to do. He's trying to do everything, his self, keep it within his family, within his network of people, and that's what he's done. And I'm so proud of him doing this because if you know much about Lamar Jackson, you know where he came from, the circumstances that he went through to get to Louisville and to get to where he is now. Always been an athlete, but just had some issues and not anything major, just some challenges that he had.
Yeah, some challenges he had to
And
overcome.
yeah, and so to be where he is now, to have the money that he is, to be the highest paid player that he um, is great. But it also signals a changing of the guard that he's the highest paid player because I did a little bit of research, and we already talked about the three draft picks, quarterbacks that were drafted in the first round. Well, and we talked about how maybe black quarterbacks are now being seen more of a pro
A
style
commodity. Yep.
quarterback, a commodity, rather than saying, yeah, he may be good, he may not be good. Now they're getting the chances like a Lamar Jackson, like a Anthony Richardson. They're in the highest paid quarterbacks in the league. Just and throw it out there, the highest paid quarterbacks in the league, the highest top 10 quarterbacks. What percentage do you think are black? Just off a quick guess.
Half of them, at least.
70%.
7 of them.
So
Okay, got you.
7 out of the 10 quarterbacks, highest paid quarterbacks in the league are black. Jalen just signed a major deal. Lamar Jackson a few days later, a week later, came over and topped that. Out of those 7 quarterbacks, 3 of them have played in the Super Bowl. 2 of them have won the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
One of them have won it multiple times. Patrick Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes.
In the history of the NFL, and again, this is just going to the narrative of the perspective and the changing of the mindset of the NFL in the quarterback position.
Mm-hmm.
In the history of the NFL, there's only happened 5 times where there's been a black quarterback that's been the league MVP. Since 2015, 4 of those MVPs have come in that time frame.
Damn.
So you've had Patrick Mahomes win it twice, Cam Newton, Lamar Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely a changing of the guard, a change in the mindset when it comes to the quarterback in the NFL.
It is.
And it's a good feeling because it says to everybody now, if you can play, if you can lead, you will have an opportunity to be whatever you want to be in the NFL. Not just, okay, you have this athletic ability. We're going to look at you at defensive back. We're going to look at you at receiver. We're going to look at you at running back. Oh, you can throw the ball. You've had some success in college as a quarterback. All right, you're going to get your opportunity. When you get your opportunity, you can excel just as we've seen with the individuals that I've mentioned.
100%. And just to circle back around, Saquon Barkley won the Offensive Rookie of the Year that year.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, but it's amazing what he did in the time frame that he did it. And it's amazing that, like you said, those numbers are astounding that you brought up, as far as the 7 of the top 10 QBs in the league are black QBs. And
Mhm.
it is definitely a change of the guard, because shoot, when we were coming up, it was maybe
Mike Vick.
Mike Vick, Donovan McNabb.
That was it, really.
That was it, really. Honestly.
Oh no, Dante Culpepper.
Yep.
Randall Cunningham was still
he was still
playing
kind
a
of
little
there.
bit with the Vikings.
Steve McNair was still in there a little bit with the
Steve
you know
McNair,
what I'm saying?
yeah. Steve McNair went to he went to
Titans.
the
Titans. So
well,
we had
he went to the Super Bowl with the Titans.
He went to the Super Bowl with the Titans too. Yeah. So it was like 3 or 4 maybe that we can remember. Like now you got like 10, half of the league is ran by black quarterbacks now.
Yeah.
And it's definitely a change in the guard, man, because they're understanding that the athletic ability mixed with that arm power and that accuracy is gonna go crazy. It's gonna put butts in the seats. It's gonna win you games, and it's gonna be amazing for your organization. So shout out to Lamar Jackson, man. Shout out to Lamar Jackson for betting on himself, representing himself. And it's kind of a la what LeBron did, man. Kept it in the family, kept it in the circle of friends.
Yep.
And now his best friend is his agent. His, a lot of his other friends are like doing PR for him and things of that nature. So Lamar is following that path like that LeBron is doing. LeBron has had and is still having an amazing career. So if Lamar can do that same thing, hands down, he's gonna do his thing moving forward. So shout out to him, bro.
Yep. All right, Sticks, man. Episode 23, right?
23 is in the books.
In the books. Done. 23 done.
Done so.
This has been Too Complex. We hope you enjoyed today's show. You can find us on any of your major streaming platform services. Make sure that you subscribe so you don't miss any episodes. Follow us on all our social media platforms, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. And remember, if it ain't too complex, it ain't complex at all. We appreciate y'all's support. Thanks for rocking with us. And until next time, salute.